A necessary evil, Julian laughed. The black sedan was a touch of class, don't you think? As Julian finished his confession, the lights in the bar came up. Jack, Janet, and a very confused Mr. Furley, who Larry had brought along as a witness, stepped out from the back booth. A touch of class, Julian? Jack asked, holding up a small tape recorder, more like a one-way ticket to a harassment suit. Julian turned pale. This is entrapment. No, Julian, Janet said, her voice cold and steady. This is a rendezvous with reality. Leave us alone. Or this tape goes to the police and to your remaining investors. Julian Vane scrambled out of the bar, and for the first time in weeks, the shadow over Santa Monica lifted. Chapter 24. The Forever Rendezvous. The celebration at apartment 201 that night was the loudest yet. Even Mr. Furley joined in, though he mostly just wanted to know if the maintenance man was actually going to fix the sink. I'll fix it, Mr. Furley, Jack laughed, pouring everyone a glass of champagne, right after I finish my head chef exam. As the party wound down, Jack and Janet found themselves on the balcony. The Ferris wheel was a blur of light against the midnight sky. Cindy was inside, happily showing Mr. Furley her depressed avocado plant, which had miraculously started to sprout a new leaf. We did it, Janet whispered, leaning her head on Jack's shoulder. We did, Jack agreed. No more stalking, no more threats, just us. And the commute, Janet reminded him. And the commute. And the burnt eggs. And the noisy neighbors. Jack turned her to face him, his eyes filled with a love that had been tested by fire and salt. I love you, Janet Wood. And I love you, Jack Tripper. They kissed as the cool ocean breeze swept over them, a kiss that felt like a beginning rather than an ending. In the city of gold and salt, amidst the neon and the noise, they had built a fortress out of laughter and a home out of three. The wind, through the palms, sang its final chorus. It didn't whisper about secrets anymore. It whispered about the future. Because when you knock on the door of apartment 201, you don't just find a lovable space, you find a family. And in the rendezvous called life, that is the greatest masterpiece of all. Chapter 25. The Golden Ladle. The morning of the final exam at the Escoffier Academy arrived with a heavy, salt-laden fog that clung to the windows of apartment 201. Jack hadn't slept. He had spent the night mentally rehearsing the reduction of a demi-glaze. You're going to be brilliant, Jack, Janet said, pressing a travel mug of strong coffee into his hand. Just remember what you told me, cook from the heart, not just the recipe. Jack took a deep breath. The heart is currently pounding like a drum, but I'll try. The exam was a grueling 4-hour ordeal. The kitchen was a symphony of clinking copper and the sharp scent of searing herbs. Jack's dish was a reimagined seafood symphony, a tribute to the Santa Monica coast that had become his home. When he presented it to Chef Maurice, the room went silent. The chef took a single bite. He chewed slowly, his expression inscrutable. Then he set his fork down. Mr. Tripper, Maurice began, his French accent thick. Many students can follow instructions. Very few can tell a story. This dish, it tastes of the ocean, of jasmine, and of someone who knows where they belong. Ooh! Jack passed with the highest honors. The Golden Ladle, the Academy's top prize, was his. That afternoon, a telegram arrived. It wasn't just a congratulatory note. It was a job offer. The Silver Anchor, a high-end restaurant perched on the cliffs of Malibu, wanted Jack as their new sous chef. Chapter 26. Starlight on the Sand. The news of the job offer sent apartment 201 into a frenzy of celebration. Larry insisted on taking everyone to the Regal Beagle, but Jack had other plans. He wanted a night that was just for him and Janet. A picnic? At night? Janet laughed as Jack led her down to a secluded stretch of beach. Not just a picnic, Jack said, spreading a velvet blanket on the sand. A masterpiece. He had prepared a 5-course meal, kept warm in insulated carriers. They ate under a canopy of stars, the sound of the Pacific providing a rhythmic backdrop to their conversation. Jack felt a ring box burning a hole in his pocket. He had planned the perfect speech, something about rendezvous and doors and knocking. But as he was about to drop to one knee, Larry Dallas emerged from the dunes, wearing a neon green leisure suit and carrying a portable radio. "Hey, lovers, I thought you could use some mood music," Larry shouted, turning the radio to a loud disco track. Jack groaned, burying his face in his hands. "Larry, this was a private moment." "Private? On a public beach? Don't be selfish, Jackie. Come on, let's hustle." The proposal was thwarted, but as Janet laughed and danced with Jack on the sand, he realized he didn't need a grand gesture. Every moment they shared was a promise. Chapter 27. The Ghost of the Anchor. Jack's first week at the Silver Anchor was a whirlwind of activity. The restaurant was beautiful, the staff was professional, and the owner, Sebastian Vane, was. Jack froze when he saw the name on the office door. Vane? Is he related to Julian? Sebastian is Julian's older brother, the head chef whispered. But don't worry, they haven't spoken in years. Sebastian is the good one. But Sebastian wasn't just Julian's brother. When Janet came to the restaurant to surprise Jack for lunch, the color drained from her face. "Sebastian," she whispered. The tall, silver-haired man looked up from his ledger. "Janet? Janet Wood? My God, it's been a decade." Sebastian was Janet's high school sweetheart, the one who had gone off to Europe to study business and never looked back. The air in the room suddenly felt very cold. Jack stood in the doorway, his chef's whites feeling like a costume, watching the man who had been the first in Janet's life. Chapter 28. Jealousy's Flame. The presence of Sebastian Vane at the restaurant became a constant ache for Jack. Sebastian was everything. Jack wasn't wealthy, sophisticated, and he shared a history with Janet that Jack could never touch. "You're just an old friend, Jack," Janet insisted one evening as they sat in the living room. "You're helping me with some logistics for the shop. He knows the Malibu market." "Logistics? Is that what they call it when he takes you out for business dinners at the pier?" Jack's voice was sharper than he intended. "Hear my boss's boss, Jack. I'm trying to be professional." The tension boiled over when Sebastian offered to buy the building. Apartment 201 was in, claiming he wanted to protect Janet and her roommates from future Julians. "I don't want your protection, Sebastian," Jack shouted when the man visited the apartment. "And I don't want your money. We take care of our own here." "And how are you doing that, Jack?" Sebastian asked calmly. "By making her work 12-hour shifts at a flower shop while you're playing with pans in Malibu. She deserves more than this stucco box." Janet looked at Sebastian, then at Jack. "This stucco box is my home, Sebastian, and I didn't choose it for the architecture. I chose it for the heart inside." Chapter 29. The Great Fire. The climax came on a Friday night, the busiest night of the year, at the Silver Anchor. Jack didn't think. He grabbed a fire extinguisher and fought his way through the smoke to clear the staff. He found Sebastian trapped in his office, the door jammed by a fallen beam. "Jack, get out!" Sebastian coughed, his face blackened by soot. Jack didn't leave. He used all his strength to heave the beam aside, dragging Sebastian out just as the roof began to groan. They emerged into the salt air, gasping for breath as fire trucks wailed in the distance. Janet arrived at the scene, her face pale with terror. She ran past the police line, her eyes searching the crowd until they found Jack. She threw herself into his arms, sobbing. I thought I lost you," she cried. Sebastian stood a few feet away, watching them. He saw the way Janet held Jack, not with the nostalgia of a high school romance, but with the desperate, bone-deep love of a woman who had found her soulmate. "He's a better man than I gave him credit for, Janet," Sebastian said, his voice raspy. "I'm leaving for Europe again. The restaurant, I'll rebuild it. But I think it's time I left the logistics of your life to the professional." Chapter 30. The Ultimate Rendezvous. A month later, apartment 201 was back to its chaotic, beautiful, normal. The fire had been a wake-up call, a reminder that life was short and that every moment counted. Jack led Janet onto the balcony. The Ferris wheel was turning, a circle of gold against the indigo sky. This time, there was no Larry, no Sebastian, and no Max. just the two of them. Janet, Jack said, his voice steady. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the ring box. He didn't drop to one knee. He just stood close to her, his heart in his eyes. I don't want to just knock on your door anymore. I want to be the one who opens it with you. Every day. Forever. Janet Wood, will you marry me? Janet didn't say a word. She just leaned in and kissed him. A kiss that tasted of salt and sea and a million tomorrows.